Welcome to Metro Scene, everyone. I'm Marvin Jackson, and on this edition, you'll meet popular South African recording artist Lira while she's on her debut tour in the United States. So don't go away. Metro Scene is up next. All right, welcome again to Metro Scene. I'm Marvin Jackson, and I am with Lira. Lira is one of the top artists in South Africa, and she's on her debut tour here in the United States. Lira, thanks for joining us on Metro Scene.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you.
All right, and first let's talk about Lira, how you got that name, and talk about what your native name is.
Right. Lira is really derived from Lerato, which is a Sotho word for love. Sotho is my tribe, and Lerato means love. So you just cut that out. It's Lira, and the reason I have the two names is for sanity. What I mean by that is I just felt the need to separate the two. You know, it's really just a mental coping mechanism for me to have Lerato as my private world where, you know, it's sort of closed off and I can just be myself. There are no expectations, I can just be. Lira is the superstar, the diva, and there's certain responsibilities, of course, that come with that. And I just felt it was important for me to almost separate the two as a means to cope with the industry.
All right.
Yeah.
And, well, we love your voice, talking
Thank
about
you.
love. We love it. You have a great voice, very strong, very beautiful. And we are so glad that you're here in the United States.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very excited, and I've seen a lot of love. You know, people have just come out, a lot of them just by chance, and have completely fallen in love with the music, which is special, you know. It's lovely to make that connection. my band is very grateful and they enjoy what they do, similar to me. I love it and I appreciate it, and I think, you know, it's special what we do. And all of us have the same energy when we do, so we're very much one when we do our thing on stage. So I think this is the band, we'll probably grow old together. I grew up in apartheid South Africa in the 1980s. And although as children, you know, we didn't really see it so strongly, the effects of apartheid. But of course, we were raised by adults that had all kinds of frustrations. I mean, people in our communities were just so limited and so oppressed that a lot of them were abusive sometimes to each other or to themselves. So people were just hard. But wait till the music comes on. People were gentler, people came together, people started singing together. You know, if there were enemies and arguing, as soon as music would come on, there'd be just a beautiful transformation. And as a child, I saw this time and time again. And it seemed to me music did exactly that. It pulled people together, and particularly with our family at Christmas time. I have 30 cousins, but we all get together. My uncles, all 8 of them and their partners, we'd be in one house. We just managed to find space and ways of sleeping and whatnot. But they'd be cooking and all of that. And children generally stay in one room, mostly on the floor, except for the older kids that'll be maybe on a table and chair. And the elders would be in another room until the music plays. You'd find them grabbing us and starting to dance with us. And this was just incredible for me. I thought, this, you know, there are people that sit there and write these songs that put people together. And that was the intrigue for me. I thought if there's any reason to be in this industry, is to do that. When I saw my mother sing, it seemed the music gave words and melodies to the stuff she was feeling, but she couldn't articulate. And that was just beautiful. And so as I grew up as well, I was just absorbing all of this and thinking, I want to be able to do this. This is special. This is magical. And I didn't know how to go about it. But I think there's lots to be said about intention, because I know now it's there. I couldn't tell you how I got here beyond that. Growing up, there was a lot of music from abroad. There was music from Aretha Franklin, Randy Crawford, Anita Baker, Nina Simone was a huge influence. Stevie Wonder was magical. And, you know, there was just so much of that music around that it already influenced, and, you know, it forms the foundation, really, for my taste in music. So it's very soulful and very message-driven and very timeless, in my opinion. And I got to know Miriam Makeba, who is, I think, Africa's biggest star, really. I got to know her when I was older because her music was banned. And, you know, her music was more songs of struggle and the condition that South Africa was under. But now, again, I was hearing these stories and these messages, and that also influenced, because I realized she's reflecting who we are. She's telling the world who we are. Whereas the soul music that was coming from here was really talking about the struggles of here, particularly with Nina Simone. So now, you know, it's just understanding that music has the power to tell a story, but to also transform a nation. So that's what I was really looking for. And in terms of the taste of my music, it's really influenced by that. And of course, the reason I call my music Afro Soul, is because I use African languages. The beauty about that is there's certain feelings and nuances and human tendencies that we have words for that don't exist in the English language. And there's also the fact that I speak African languages informs how I structure my English. Because I think in that way, and so when I write, my words sort of come out in how they would typically, an African would say. So I find those are some of the things that make how I write unique, and really form the basis of how I deal with any piece of music. There's a beauty in these languages, and so it's now to try and explain that. And every time I sing, I'm totally in the moment. As I say the words, I'm in that scenario, and so I feel I can't help but act it. I'm very animated, so I can't even help that. But that's the beauty of it, because essentially musicians are storytellers in the same vein, and I'm inspired by the human condition. And as I've said this before, a lot of how I write is influenced by growing up in South Africa. It forms the basis of how I think and my perceptions of the world. But now that I'm out there, I realize we're all very much the same. And I suppose that's why you'll relate, you know?
Yeah, and we do, for sure. But we're going to take a break right now. But I'll tell you what, why don't you say that? Say we're going to take a break and we'll be right back, but in Zulu.
In Zulu, bathandekayo basekhaya, nihlale lapho, siyabuya emva komzuzwana.
All right, we'll be right back.